And this is Lucas.
And this is Thanks for Playing,
the podcast where we break down the most iconic video games the world has to offer. Hell yeah.
I hope I
Are
don't
we
get
ready?
a noise complaint.
Does everybody have their Liberty ready to drink during this recording?
Oh yeah, dude. The
All
biscuits
right.
are Croy. I'm ready.
Super
tastes like
verified
freedom.
Waterloo.
We should probably go around and get the crew go. We got a big crew today. So yeah. You want Matt, let's go around the horn here.
All right, we got Tim, aka Orion. How you doing, baby?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm ready to spread some managed democracy, baby.
Fired up. We got Chambers, the Milkman. Milkman was cracking.
Oh, nothing much. I'm just feeling very fascist today. I'm excited.
I got that.
Yeah.
I like that. And we got Hyalet, known traitor to Super Earth, but we let him on here anyways. Joined the podcast as well. Hyalet, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Happy to make my seasonal return to the pod at this point. So,
And he doesn't deny it. He doesn't.
He didn't deny it at all. He just went forward with the intro.
hey,
Yeah.
I represent the Ministry of Truth, so everything I say is 100% accurate, no matter what.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad to have you back, Hyalet.
Thanks,
Personally,
man.
on a personal note, thank you for being on.
Cool.
It's
1 out of
been a
4
minute,
makes
and,
great. That's great.
Yeah, we got a packed house for one of the biggest multiplayer games that's come around in a while here. We could jump straight into it, Matt. What game are we talking about?
We are talking about the #1 Democratic Simulator, Helldivers 2.
That is right. The 9 out of 10 from IGN, 9 out of 10 from GameSpot, 9 out of 10 from Game Informer, surprisingly 83 out of 100 on Metacritic. PC and PS5 exclusive. Sorry, Xbox guys that are out there these days. I don't really know that many these days. Helldivers 2. I'm very stoked.
Yeah.
This game came out on my birthday, February 8th. Did you guys know that?
I did not.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Know.
Yes.
I forgot that was the day of your birthday. Actually,
Yeah. Well, you remembered it was the release day for
totally.
Helldivers 2.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because he's a super citizen, baby.
That's right. Oh my God. I have so much to say about this game. I wanted to go around the horn real quick for initial thoughts. And yeah, I mean, geez, where do we start? Matt, you wanna kick us off here?
You know, it's actually kind of funny. Well, actually, really quickly, too, there is actually a very general plot outline lore I want to give everyone, and then we can just get into
Oh yeah, I forgot
initial
that there was.
thoughts. So, Helldivers 2 is set a century after the triumph of Super Earth, a self-described managed democracy over the cyborgs, Terminids, and the Illuminate during the events of the first game. However, it is discovered that upon death, the Terminids produce a unique and highly valuable resource known as E710. Put that in a mirror backwards, see what you get. Farms are established on human-colonized worlds, but containment is eventually breached, releasing the bugs and causing chaos and destruction. Simultaneously, a new threat emerges in the form of automatons, a mechanical army intent on destroying humanity. The game begins with a recruitment video for the Helldivers, who are elite shock troopers dropped from orbit to reclaim the colonized lands. Environmental storytelling is prevalent throughout the game with various logs, notes, and, well, this says propaganda, but I only know truth. Messages spread throughout the game. So a lot to dive into here, but yeah, first thoughts. You know, it's actually kind of interesting. My very first night, I played this game with Chambers and Eddie. Edgar is a good friend of ours, mutual friend. And initially, you know, I saw all the TikToks and everything. I'm like, oh man, this game looks really lit. Shout out to Hyalet and Orion are really the ones that actually put it on my radar in the first place. I wasn't paying it too much mind. And then, you know, with the way the game works, you start with the easy mode. You have to start there, right? And then as you do a mission, or rather an operation, then at that point you unlock the next difficulty and so on and so forth. And I know me, Eddie, and Chambers, we played on easy, you know, and even just normal our first couple missions or whatever. And we're like, oh yeah, this is fun, I guess. This is cool.
Yeah, it was mid.
I was like, this is cool, but like it's mid. Yeah, like there's nothing particularly exciting here. Like this is a really easy game. Woo-wee. give me one fucking night. I'm gonna live along creek to change my goddamn life. Hot dog.
Robot Nom! Hell yeah.
Robot Nom, baby. Even just like on
I wasn't there.
Nope.
On like a challenging difficulty, which is like basically their actual like middle difficulty normal. Even that, if you're unseasoned, proves to be difficult. And I think just overall general thoughts is what an incredibly fun game that really just probably the best co-op game I've played in a really long time. The best purely like PvE co-op game. And I think this is a game that will probably be around for at least a decent bit, as long as they manage it correctly with like how they're doing, like literally managing their in-game war. Essentially, I think if they can do that tastefully and maybe over time, 6 months to a year, start to introduce a new race here and there to fight things like that. I see this game sticking around for quite a while, and I also think this is just more to the point that I think we're going to see AAA studios do less and less $70, $60 games and start to move more to this kind of model where it's just a really good contained, not contained per se, but like a really good $40 experience that almost gets like, I don't think this is qualified as an indie game, but basically kind of following like the same model, for example, as like Lethal Company, a game like that, to really kind of attract gamers.
Yep, I completely agree with that. We'll dive more into that a little bit later. I want to reserve a little bit of that as a formal topic of conversation about the $40 price point, which I think is really important when we're talking about Helldivers 2. Hyalet, you're nodding your head everything Matt's saying. I could tell you're vibing over there. What do you think of this game?
So, if I can build a tiny bit of context leading up to the game, if that's cool, because I haven't been around in a minute. And that's because I took a sabbatical from gaming, whether I realized it or not at the time. Spider-Man Baldur's Gate back-to-back, I was burnt out on AAA games. I know you boys talked about it not super long ago. And to be honest, I was
you didn't play Alan Wake 2.
And I won't, thanks to you guys. But, I was off doing other stuff. I wasn't really vibing with gaming. Nothing was really catching my eye. And then Orion was just like, bro, you should get Helldivers. I want a game to play with you. And I was like, no, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm good
Your
with gaming. Your
original recruitment officer.
He was my recruitment officer. And I saw the $40 price tag. I saw a couple videos and I was like, okay, fuck it. I played a few missions with him and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Kind of a similar experience as Matt and Chambers. The first few levels, like, I was like, okay, this is cool, like doing it by myself, doing it with Tim. But once you start ramping up the difficulty and you get more squad mates, so we have a regular group of 4 right now, you start unlocking all the other stuff. This game was just fucking fun. And there's really no other way I can describe it, like as an initial thought. Like, this is the funnest game I think I played in a hot minute. And it's probably one of the simplest games I played in a hot minute. And I feel like I played a lot of games that were like quote unquote bangers like before my sabbatical, but I can safely say this game has kind of kept me hooked and made me want to come back and do more gaming since I started playing it again. So I really like the game as it is now. The opening, Matt mentioned a recruitment video, like it's kind of hilarious from the jump, having like Jeff Keighley pretty much do that recruitment reenactment because it looks just like him to me. I don't. And then you're like,
I guess I didn't draw that connection either.
Dude, once I saw, I was like, it's fucking Jeff
totally
Keighley.
Does look
That's
like him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And even like the tutorial, I thought was funny because it's just hyper propagandized. The tutorial is actually really stupid and easy. But then when you think of the logic of like, oh, okay, like we're going to fight some bugs. This is cool. And then you wind up on Robot Nom or a Terminated like Planet.
It teaches you nothing.
It teaches you nothing.
The tutorial purposely teaches you nothing.
Like it's
pretty great.
It's like you're literally just a fucking meat sack in war, and I love that vibe. So I'm having a blast with it so far. I know we'll talk deeper with like lore and game design in the future, but right now it's up there for me for games at the moment.
Chambers, I know you love this game.
I do love this game.
I know you love this game.
I like Matt said, it was mid at first, and I blindly bought this game off of Matt's recommendation, and I usually don't do that. I usually say no to games that people ask me to play, but it was a cool name, and I had money to burn. I had just got paid that week, so I had money to burn. I do love this game. This game is everything that I love about gaming. It brings people together like this. I know we're gonna dive more into all the details of it.
Dive?
And stuff.
You mean hell dive?
We're gonna hell dive
no.
into
Did
all
you say
the
dive?
details.
There we go.
Yeah.
But what I love about gaming is the communities it creates and the stupid like laughter and memories that you create online. And there's been so much of that happening. Like even, I mean, you'll get into your first impression, but the very first time we played with you, I remember like it turned into the most epic, like last man standing adventure. So yeah, so far this has been everything and more of what I hoped it could be.
Totally.
Yeah.
Orion, Tim,
Yes.
what you got for us, man? Initial thoughts. It sounds like you're the patient zero here. It sounds like you knew about this
I
game.
know,
You got it
dude.
first.
He's the Marine that goes to all the high schools being like, do you want to change your life?
Yeah.
I was the advertisement that came up with like, would you like to know more? And you guys all bought in. My early thoughts are, Starship Troopers came out when I was a teenager back in 1997. And, with Helldivers 2 coming out, I didn't know that I needed a Starship Troopers basically battle simulator. And I feel like, because I watched Starship Troopers a lot growing up when it first came out, and it feels like you're in that movie when you're playing Helldivers 2. Like the realism, just in terms of like things constantly being chaotic around you, whether you're up against the automatons or the Terminids, like it's absolutely incredible. And to your guys' point, I know all of you touched on it, but just the co-op aspect of the game is just something that I haven't felt in a really long time. I can't even remember the last co-op game, that I've
Destiny?
played. Not even Destiny, honestly, because Destiny is like
Everybody groans.
It's very Destiny 2 is very formulaic, whereas with Helldivers 2, you drop in from your pod and literally you could be right next to a bug hive or bot drop will immediately come down, and you're just like, you feel it as soon as you drop in, like it's just immediate chaos. And and I'm sure maybe we'll touch on this in a little bit, but this is the first game that has essentially put a stop to the console wars, because we are begging for more people to come and help us liberate planets, because we need the Xbox players to come help us, because it's I'm sure we'll get to it as well, but the D&D, overlord Joel is constantly throwing us curveballs to try and prevent us from taking over certain planets and everything like that. But I echo everything that you guys say. This game is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm glad that we're all playing it, and in a lot of instances playing it together, because it's been an absolute blast. So
Same. So I want to shout out Tim, Hyalet, and Orion here. You guys bought me this game for my birthday. And I also want to take the opportunity to tell the story of that day. We all went to go play Magic together. And we had a buddy of mine, Sean, come join us. So we were playing Magic at Odyssey Games in Pasadena. Shout out Odyssey Games. And, I asked Sean in the group, like, oh, what have you been playing lately? And he said, Helldivers for Super Earth. And he unprompted, just delve into the cosplay of it all. And then Matt was saying it all the time, and literally our group chat is just who wants to spread democracy tonight? Who wants to go serve some liberty? And I'm sure your guys' group chats are the exact same way. And I'm in that you guys invited me to another Discord server with some other people I don't know, and it's like we're speaking a language that was just made up in the last month and a half of just democracy can handle it, or we could take care. We're all just cosplaying as these space marine Helldiver meat shield warriors, and it's just amazing. I could not believe that we have all fully taken on the personas and the lore that this game has provided, and I honestly have never seen it in any game, and games have tried. The only time you see stuff to this level is like RP servers of like Grand Theft Auto, RP servers in like MMOs and stuff like that. But even then, that stuff feels like forced and cringy, like at least in the MMO space. And then the GTA stuff is mostly for comedy or theater and things like that. This is a serious cultural phenomenon, is like the way it feels, where like somebody we're playing Magic with just says for Super Earth, and we're like, and you guys are like, fuck yeah, like fucking love that game, and it's awesome, and it
reminds me
amazing.
Quite a bit, not a little bit, of like just how everyone was playing Fortnite when that first came out. I feel very similarly about that game. How like everyone's like talking about like where we drop, and it's like literally like the same kind of lingo in this game too. Just like all of it, it's great.
Yeah,
and I can't remember the last. I think it was Orion brought this up, or maybe Hyalet. I'm sorry, but I can't remember. And there's never been a game like we were saying where there's truly like no animosity between like consoles or PC or whatever. It's quite fascinating. They're like, it's like, they fought the Covenant. We need them. They fought off the Flood. We need them. It's like, bring in ODST. Bring in the dropships. It's just like, there's experienced soldiers behind Microsoft's barrier. And yeah, it's so special so far.
I love, and it's funny. Do you guys see this Phil Spencer quote that came out after when he was like, I'm not quite sure.
We talked about that.
We did talk about that on the pod.
Idiot,
it's just funny because I like, Xbox has obviously been making these massive moves, Microsoft as a company, to like at least set themselves up for exclusivity in the future with like, Activision and Bethesda, stuff like that. And Phil Spencer's just like, not quite sure what keeping Helldivers 2 off of Xbox did for anybody. Like, why don't we have it, kind of thing. And it's like, motherfucker, you were too busy buying Bethesda. Like this game was not on your radar at all. And it's just kind of funny. That being said, this game definitely could spread to Xbox, and I would not be upset about it at all. It's just, it is interesting that it is a PS5 exclusive and PC exclusive cross-platform, and nobody saw this big of a hit coming because the first game was nothing special. The first game came out 9 years ago as well, so it's just totally forgotten about in the zeitgeist. I barely even knew about that game. I never touched it, and this is completely different anyway. So it's just interesting how it's come out of nowhere.
Yeah, the
really
first game is like a top-down shooter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like built... Well, Helldivers 1 and Helldivers 2 are both built on the same engine, which is BitSquid, formerly known as BitSquid, later renamed to Autodesk Stingray, a discontinued engine. They had to rebuild like so much just to make Helldivers 2 because they had already committed to using the engine before it was discontinued.
Wow.
And like the engine was severely lacking all this... basically all this like all the tools and stuff that exists in modern engines. This engine is made for like Warhammer games and strategy games like Helldivers 1, and here they made like a complete and total hit with Helldivers 2. It's amazing. Democracy,
baby, fueled by Super Earth.
Well, we touched on story and lore a little bit. I do want to carve out a segment here. Story and lore, world building. I mean, what do we think?
It's pretty lit. I think calling, what did I say? It was element 710 that spelt backwards is oil is like pretty incredible.
Exactly.
And it even goes kind of deeper too about how like I think the automatons are basically were originally created by the cyborgs from the first game or something, and are just trying to like save the cyborgs basically, like they don't even want to kill us or anything. But what's really more important too, because the actual lore like almost really kind of starts and ends there, as far as like, you'll find some
there's not
like,
much
little like Easter eggs or like little things about like, oh, like this item is used for this on Super Earth if you read whatever logs are on the various planets. But what has been incredible is the amount of lore that just the fandom has created. And just I think myself and a lot of others are just choosing to accept that, like, this is the lore now. Like a best example I can give is like there was someone created like a really high quality production audio log, like found audio log quotes on found of the automatons basing like, like, you attacked us.
Was that real?
No,
I saw that.
No, that wasn't.
That's
real.
fan made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, you attacked us, all this, all that. It's like, we will push you back and we will get where we need to go, but we will not kill you. We will leave you alone. And it's just like so crazy how like high quality this stuff is. And it's just totally painting out like Super Earth to be total fascists. And I want to say too, you know, I had been aware vaguely of, I mean, I've known of Starship Troopers and I knew vaguely of the content of it. Like I think everyone at one point or another, whether you are familiar with Helldivers or Starship Troopers or not, I think everyone's seen a meme related to the I'm doing my part.
Yeah, I'm doing my part. You know? Yeah.
I think everyone has seen
Classic
that
meme
played out one way somewhere. Played out one way or another, but having gotten after playing Helldivers, I was like, I should watch Starship Troopers, and I did. And it is so fucking good. And it's so fun to see how clearly, you know, inspired it is by it, but like not without infringing on its, you know, IP obviously per se. But yeah, I think it's so fun, and I think it's going to introduce a lot more people to that movie, which is super cool too, because that's a really, really good movie.
Well, we have cyborgs in Helldivers too, though, and we have the Illuminate.
Terminate, yeah.
We don't have the
Illuminate yet.
We will though.
Yeah.
We might.
Yeah, and Starship Troopers you only get the bugs, but I'm choosing to believe that somewhere in that Starship Troopers universe, there's automatons just waiting in bay.
There's going to be a sequel at this rate.
But yeah, you know, I think a lot of the themes in that movie are very prevalent, obviously, to Helldivers 2, to an extent, just as far as like, oh, this is clearly like a really awful fascist, like one government world. That's probably not great, but you know, hey, baby, that's just some propaganda they'll tell you.
Yeah. I just recently realized that managed democracy is like an oxymoron for just dictatorship. I like watched a lore video and I was like, oh, I get it. Because I always thought the term sounded really funny because we're defending managed democracy. But like I watched a YouTube video before this recording and they're like, yeah, so it's just a dictatorship that's just managed. So like the votes don't count and nothing matters. So like it's just to keep the people elected over and over again. And I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Sounds like
makes
an
sense.
automaton
My
made this
understanding-
video.
Yeah. My understanding
Yeah,
of how the lore of the government of Super Earth is that a lot of it is like AI run. And
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that there's not actually all much of like any human involvement in the direction of anything. And most of it is just run by
So
AI.
it's like the opposite of Dune.
Yes. Yes.
So this is the alternate history where they decided to keep going with computers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. It all comes together.
How we well, how are we feeling about just the overall like potential 3-front war setup for the story? Like, are we like obviously it's a mechanic to fight two things, but
yeah, it's incredible. I alluded to it earlier in the episode too, but there's basically like a literal game master or like, you know, dungeon master, like a DM essentially.
Joel, that
is
Joel.
bitch.
Joel.
do we know who Joel is literally, or just that his name is?
They just
Joel?
named him.
I'm sure it's an anagram
Yeah.
for something that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
He's a piece of shit.
Like jokes
he's
on
literally like
everybody,
crafting this
something.
war. Yeah. So
Oh, I like that.
you know, if like he wants a world to be, I guess, taken over at X percentage, right? If I'm understanding that correctly, he can set that, right? So like, you know, if we're pushing back at Malevelon Creek, he can make the automatons or whoever push back just a little bit harder. And then he can choose where he wants to expand or her, you know, they can choose where they want to expand the war and basically keep it going and all that. And I'm assuming too they as well have some sort of play or some sort of decision making as far as like, oh, you know, we have to introduce mechs into the game. Here's how we're going to do that with a cool like little story like side mission.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to talk. Yeah, I wanted to touch on that
you
too.
want to dive into that?
Well, who was there? Who helped liberate? What planet was it?
Tian Quan.
I was there.
Tian Quan.
We were all there.
Tian Quan. We were all there, right? Okay, hell yeah. I mean, we all worked to unlock an update in the game, which is awesome. We didn't how every game does it these days is like a patch comes out or an update comes out, the devs like tell us about it, and you know, we're all gamers, we all know how updates and new abilities and items work. But with Helldivers 2, what's sick is that we were actually told that if we liberated this planet, we would get access to an exosuit, like mech suit thing that looked really badass.
Oh yeah.
And then so that day, like that weekend, everybody just zerged the planet and liberated it. And like literally, I remember like we started the night and it was at like 90%, and it was at 99% by the end of the night, which is crazy fast. Like 700,000 Helldivers were on one planet running missions on it, trying to liberate it. And just like inside the gameplay, you don't see it because you're only running like with a max of 4 people at a time. But there's this like cool meta thing going on social media, on YouTube, TikTok. Like basically you have an understanding, or you and all of your friends in this community have this feeling that you're all contributing to something that's a whole. And then we get the unlock, we get the freaking mech. They built it, like they had it, right? And like it could have just, any other game dev could have just launched it and said, hey, here's a new stratagem, it's a mech. But Helldivers 2 like has this not just like ingenuity to do it, but also has like the in-game sort of like setup to do something like this, where like they give you like how many Helldivers are on each planet. They sort of like make you understand that this is part of like a wider story. And at the end of the day, you're just running missions with 3 of your friends, so you're not like experiencing the game any bit differently. But all these other factors are kind of going in outside the game that are making us all feel like we're part of one giant community. And I think that's so special.
That's what makes this game so incredible, in my opinion, is that the gameplay and the story kind of interweave together, in the sense that, you know, in your head canon is, we were at Tien Quan. We were there at the facilities, literally liberating the planet in order for us to get access to these Patriot exosuits, so that we can then get access to them and go to other planets and liberate those planets. So it's like the story's just like constantly evolving. And yeah, there's like the basic lore, but in our heads, like we were there, and now we're going to different planets like Arata Prime, or you know, to Bot Nam, and bringing, you know, more heavy artillery to help like liberate that planet. That's what makes this game so damn incredible. It's insane.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like when we all liberated, we all got the mech suit, and everybody was just running around with it for like a few days, and then it's like, man, this thing's broken, this thing's so good, and then you fight it with the robots, and you're like, wait, hang on, this actually might not be as good as we thought. And like it's just it's cool because like this thing comes out, that a new toy comes out that we all get to play with, and you know it's maybe great, it's maybe not great, but that like kind of emergent gameplay, that experience that we're all having at the same time is amazing, because at the core of this game is like just meat bodies getting thrown around and destroyed all day. And like if you get killed by your friend's bomb, and like you get shot in the face by your friend's friendly fire, that's like so essential to the experience. It's amazing. It's amazing. Chambers has definitely killed me a lot, and Matt friendly fires me like every single mission. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Sounds
it's just part of the process. Actually,
One of my favorite things.
That makes me want to talk about the death aspect of this game, that it kind of feels like we're getting into gameplay a bit, I guess.
Let's just we're talking gameplay. Let's do it.
Death is kind of a mechanic of the game, and like I'm sure we've all done this, where let's say I die and Lucas throws me down to be respawned somewhere, using like your dive in order to kill a Bile Titan or a large enemy of some sort.
Yeah.
And
that's so damn satisfying.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you're given like a pretty good amount of lives, which we somehow always end up dwindling. But
suicide missions, Chambers, it's kind of your fault.
Yes. Difficulty.
But
yeah.
But yeah, using death to churn enemies and to blow up like large objectives is like a really cool mechanic to use.
Until you miss, and then you're just underneath a bile.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh god.
Very high risk, high reward.
And you get clipped by his leg like half a second later. You have to get reinforced again.
Yeah, exactly. Now my favorite, I think I sent it to the group, or one of our group chats, was like some guy spawned in and just landed on like a Hulk, like an automaton Hulk, but he didn't kill it. He just like landed on it, and then he got up and he said like "Force Super," and like immediately got killed by the robot. And like for some reason, in any other game, if you got spawn killed, it's it's not cool. Like, it's not a fun experience. It's like shitty. No one likes for that to ever happen. But in Helldivers 2, if you come out of your pod and just get immediately shot by something and die, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. I don't know why. It's just awesome.
It's part of the experience, man. It builds into just like the ridiculousness of the world really well in a very fun way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think like having that many reinforcements in those moments just feeds back into the lore, as Chambers said. Like, they're so deeply intertwined. It's like we are just meat shields throwing ourselves by the millions at like robots and bugs at the end of the day. Like, we're not trained super soldiers. We're literally citizens with guns at this point. And one thing that I kind of want to note with the gameplay too, and missing Bile Titans by a second, like, the game's a little bit jankier than I would expect from a 2024 shooter, because it is a fairly saturated market. There's a lot of games that do shooting very, very well. It's an established genre of game. This one kind of leans into the fact that it's not perfect and fuck ups are meant to happen, like missing a Bile Titan by inches. And I think that's the refreshing part of it. Like, I'm not playing some polish or giving me the sense of that superiority. Like, I'm meant to fuck up and laugh about it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The jankiness is definitely part of the joy of the game right now. And it's weird to say that, but like just because of like the game not taking itself too seriously, we as players could not feel like we're being taken too seriously. Granted, there are moments where you get really sweaty. Like, if you're really trying to extract, like, you don't want to kind of lose what you could get if you don't complete the mission. You and your friends have been there for 40 minutes. You want to extract, you want to win, all that stuff. You're playing on a really high difficulty. There's a lot at stake. You have a lot of samples.
Those super
all
samples,
that.
baby.
Super samples.
Yeah, you want all that. So you want to extract and you want to live and everything. But like, the game never feels like as sweaty as basically any other shooter could feel. Like, it never feels sweaty like even the finals, which we play a lot of, like CSGO or Valorant, like these other modern shooters that everyone's playing. Helldivers 2 never approaches that level of sweat. It's like, no matter, like, even when you're surrounded by hundreds or thousands of bugs or robots, it's like it still always manages to be a really fun, sometimes janky experience with buds, you know? For managed democracy.
As far as janky goes too, I think one of my actually favorite parts about this game, and we kind of touched on it a little bit already, but is just how unforgiving the friendly fire in this game is and how actually easy it is to die. Like, you genuinely have to learn trigger discipline. It's a genuine thing in this game, because I'll never forget. I was just like shooting at bugs or whatever, automatons, and like Eddie ran in front of me. And like I was like, oh, I can't just keep shooting. I literally was like, oh my god, I need to stop. And it was just like, he's like, damn, that trigger discipline. I'm like, bro, I know. If we are fragile in this game.
Yeah.
You're genuinely fragile.
2
At
hits.
this point, you're not
If
like
that.
a fucking Master Chief. You're not like, if you take a rocket like near you or like direct hit, you will die. Like, it's a very simple thing. And like, if you catch fire from a Hulk, like, you're gonna burn to death within probably 5 seconds unless you just keep stimming nonstop. Like, you're going to die very quickly whenever these things hit you. And the same is true for your friends. If you're like me and you just kind of haphazardly threw out your Eagle airstrikes, like, you're going to kill Lucas. It's just going to happen.
Dude, shut the fuck up.
It's 500Ks.
Matt and I had a night where, like, we killed each other a few times. It was bad.
On purpose.
On purpose, yeah. And then it ended with me killing myself with a stratagem that dropped on me.
I think because I had been going back and forth, and then I think he shot me. He threw his stratagem out. Like, it was just like a supply something. He threw it out, killed me, and then was running away, and then just ran into his
It just dropped on me
dropped.
as I was running away and killed me. And
That's probably one of my favorite moments of the game. Actually.
Is the definition of instant karma.
But yeah, the factor of the friendly fire is very fun, because like, even not from the Terminids or the automatons, if you take even a couple bullets, not even to the head, just like to your torso, like, you're gonna die. It's very it's a gameplay mechanic in and of itself, whereas other games might just treat it as like something to not do. Like, it's something that you have to truly learn how to, I guess, kind of play around and then laugh about it when it does happen.
Kind of playing off the the damage and the fragility part of things too. The fact that you can have like your limbs, like your arms or your legs specifically hurt,
I was just gonna
and
say
it
that.
affects how you need to respond in that moment. Like I also think is a really like good wrinkle. Like if a bug gets your right leg, you can't sprint anymore and you're hobbling. Or if your arm gets hit, your recoil is all over the place and you can't like hold a gun still anymore. And that's like, I don't want to say it's very real because it doesn't, it ultimately leans into the jank, but it forces you to rethink or like force yourself to like do something different to give yourself just enough room to like stim yourself. It's like whether it's diving 50 feet, like 50 times in a row just to like get away.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I wanted to touch on real quick too, I also love that retreat is a valid option in almost every circumstance. Because there's been plenty of times, I'm sure you guys got trapped in this too. You're clear an objective, but you're fighting bots and bugs that are still spawning, even though you have no reason to be there anymore. And it like forces you to almost resource dump and kill time. So by the time you hit extraction, you realize 5 minutes later, you shot yourself in the foot, literally and figuratively. Yeah. So I think I really like that aspect too. You also really have to pay attention of like, we need a fucking move. We have 5 minutes left and extract already takes 2 to 4 minutes depending on your map.
I know there's a lot of times too where I'd be playing and it's just like, oh, let's go take out this like side thing or do this side mission or whatever. And we only have like 3 lives left. So I'm like, I know how this is going to end. Like, fucking leaving. Like, get over it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about the realism versus the jank too that I love about this game is that, like Tim said, you can get hit in the limbs and like stumble, but yet if you do the hug emote when a 500 kilogram bomb drops on top of you, you just are like invisible and don't even die. So
wait, I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. That's some sick.
I think one person needs to have to
invincible
shield
during the emote.
I think one person needs to have to shield, and then you're both invincible as you hug.
Oh, is that what it is?
What?
Some janky thing where you could literally get a 500 kilogram bomb dropped on top of you, and you do the hug emote, and you're both protected by the bomb. It's like
that's
nuke is basically
amazing
dropping on top of your head. It's. But yet, if a hunter like stabs you in the leg, like you're limping unless you do like a stim, dude.
Yeah.
It's so that's what I love about this game so much. Like it doesn't take itself seriously, but yet like there are like real aspects of it that make it to where you have to think about, okay, should I stim right now? Or should we do this side objective? Or is it worth it? There's just like...
Or I do not think about my stems. I'm like just...
Yeah. I can see, because as you get to the higher level difficulties, like even like loadouts and stratagems and stuff, you start actually really thinking about it. Like, okay,
absolutely.
I'll run the anti-tank, or like, okay, I'll run mortar. I'll run the, like, you really start kind of building loadouts as a team. And I think that's when it gets really fun. There are like just straight up support builds type thing. Like you could have the homie that's just running the supply pack support and all support weapons or a guard dog. And that's just all they do. And they've spent all of their credits upgrading all their support items. And that guy's the homie, and I think that's really cool because you don't need to do any of that at the lower level. In fact, I'd want to say 80% of the game, you don't really need to think on that level. But then just to get to that like top 10, top 15%, like Helldiver difficulty, you really do need to like inch every single thing out, because right when you drop on Helldiver difficulty, there are 3 Bile Titans, and like you need to deal with it right away. And it's amazing. One thing I did want to say about just like overall, I guess like shooty runny mechanics is I like that this game like lacks a lot of verticality. I think with like a lot of shooters nowadays, like there's a big emphasis on like movement and verticality. Think of like Apex, think of the finals, like Battlefield and things like that. Like games that are really, really emphasizing a lot of up and down movement, jumping, like all that stuff. Helldivers 2 does like none of that. It's literally just dive and like vault over stuff. And it really helps. Like, honestly, I think it does help the game a lot. Like there's moments where you're just surrounded by bugs and you're just going to die, and dying is like Chamber said, part of the game, part of the mechanics of the game. And that's okay if you die. It's just time to respawn and kind of go back in again. But being surrounded by bugs, there's never really a get out of jail free card with this game. If it was, a lot of other modern day shooters, there'd usually be some sort of item that can instantaneously be used to get you out. But unless you have the jump pack, which is not even really that get out of jail free because it has to recharge, this game is always going to kill you. And I think that's really, really awesome that they like had the developers actually said, like, you're going to die a lot. That's part of the fun of the game. Most developers never really lean into it that much.
Yeah.
Should we dive into... Anybody else got anything on game design? Nothing? All right. Sound design. I actually love... I'm excited to get into this. Yeah. The music is great. The music is awesome, right?
It's really good.
Yeah.
It doesn't get old. Like 40 hours in or whatever, I still fucking get goosebumps.
It's
like
awesome.
Get hearing the super mega patriotic music. Like the clicky clacky of just getting onto your pod, like when your mission's like selected. It's just serotonin for days.
Yeah, dude. Even like the little like inputs that you hear when you're inputting your stratagem input. Yeah, dude. And throwing a stratagem. And also like sound is used as like a real mechanic in this game in the same way that like Left 4 Dead uses it, where like the music kicks in and you're like, oh shit, like they're coming, and like I love that the game has this quietness to it at times when you're like kind of going from objective to objective, and then the music kind of crawls back in again and you're like, oh, something's wrong. And like the game is just telling you something's wrong through the cool, dramatic music. It's awesome.
All the voice actors too are very incredible.
Yes.
I didn't have the chance to look up all of them, but they do have Yuri Lowenthal playing one of the, I think like the main just standard Helldiver male trooper voice.
Right.
And he's so goddamn good. For those that aren't familiar, Yuri,
He's your favorite on that. He's one of your
favorites.
Him and Steve Blum are probably my favorite American voice actors, I'd say. For those that aren't familiar, Yuri Lowenthal he played Sasuke. He was the American English dub for Sasuke. He played
Ben 10.
Ben 10.
your favorite superhero.
Ben 10 is a Helldiver.
Bro.
He most recently did obviously Spider-Man. He plays Peter Parker in Spider-Man games, Insomniac Spider-Mans, and just a very, very good career and a very talented voice actor. But he crushes it as maybe we could throw in some audio clips here, I don't know, but just his for Super Earth, it is so incredible. And like just there's so many little like great one-liners, like my leg, oh sweet love of democracy, my leg, like shit like that. It is so good. Like I don't know, because like there's times too where they'll be saying stuff that is genuinely just funny, like the for Super Earth or for have some liberty or whatever, and then there's times where there actually are like blood curdling screams, but it's just so funny, even though it shouldn't be because it's a blood. I don't know. It's so well done, and the sounds from the explosions and everything, and just it all. I think you and producer Sam have told me this is about movies, and I think it's true to an extent in games as well, that like the sound's more important than what you're even seeing sometimes.
A lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
And that really, I think, is showcased here very well as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The just the one-liners are absolutely incredible. I like you said, Matt, I think my favorite one is the one that you said, the my leg for the love of liberty, my leg. Yeah. It's like almost poetry. It's like so good. It like flows off the tongue. There's also incoming friendly fire, dodge or don't, your call.
Yeah.
Oh, the loading screen tips. Those.
Oh,
dude.
so
God,
good.
yeah.
Best loading screen
those
tips
two.
of all time.
Yeah.
Legit.
One of them
Some
just
of the best
says,
I've ever seen.
"Don't drink and drive." That's.
One of them is like, please sign a certain form before you do anything that might result in a child. It's like,
oh yeah, like your birthing certificate or something.
Yeah, like you have to sign in this lore, you have to like sign some sort of certificate, get sign off from the government to have sex. It doesn't even say to have a kid. It just says before doing something that could result in a kid, which is amazing.
Well, even like the reviews and the dialogue on the Superstore where you like buy like the
I love the
like
reviews.
that. Yeah,
The
made up
are
reviews
awesome.
and everything. There's like one that says like redacted because the Super Earth, like there's like I don't know.
Redacted stuff.
Yeah, by the
Yeah.
Ministry of
exactly.
Truth.
No, there's-
or whatever.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
one
Ministry
that's
Truth.
like, my wife said the suit or her. Well, I'll see her later. Or like,
I chose the
yeah,
suit.
well, yeah, I chose the suit. Yeah, it's just it was nice knowing her or whatever. Yeah, those are awesome.
Did you guys?
I
go ahead.
No, go for it.
Did you guys also read like the flavored text of how like your ship module upgrades work, like to upgrade your orbitals or your Eagles?
Oh no!
Go back and there's some funny ones. Like there's one where like I think backpacks or turrets deploy faster, and the description literally is like pod is loaded with TNT that explodes upon ignition. So that's the reason why a gun drops down faster. Like really dumb, like just really dumb shit like that. So it's just everywhere you look, the game just leans into like the hyper patriotic dumb cheese of it all.
Yeah, man, I would love to go to Arrowhead and just see like what they were doing when they were coming up with all these ideas.
I do hope,
yeah,
with because this game has exploded way more than they expected it to, that
without a doubt
they can use all this money they've made to really like put more into the lore, and I don't know if we'll get like more factions than they originally planned or anything like that, but there's so much money coming in for them that I really hope this game gets a lot more like AAA level of support than they initially planned.
Yeah, I agree.
Hard agree. Yeah.
Let's move on to art direction. So my I don't have a ton to say about this one other than the originality of all of the different like look and feel of every single level of enemy for both bugs and automatons is honestly super underrated. Like the clarity of like weak points on monsters, the like even as a brand new player, it's very clear like where you have to shoot the charger. It's very clear like how the Biotitan needs to be killed and stuff, and even like the Hulk and stuff like the robotic Hulks and everything like that. Like super underrated. Like every enemy is so intuitive because of the way that they're designed from an art direction standpoint, and I love it. The environments are amazing. The like all the particle effects are really great. Bombs look great. Like a lot of it looks good. I mentioned earlier, this is on a discontinued engine. So they squeezed every bit of optimization. They squeezed everything that they could out of this engine, and it really shows, like just from a pure technical standpoint. So admire them very, very much for that.
Yeah, I honestly can say I think one of my favorite parts about this game is just how ridiculously good it looks. Like, I don't know, when you see a hell bomb go off for a nuke or even just a 500 kilogram and like an airstrike pop off in front of you, and you just see like the plus 20 kill streak or whatever pop up, and you just see this beautiful ball of fire, it is like, I don't know, it just fills me with feelings of patriotism, you know. It's incredible.
Oh, the ICBM missions, dude.
Oh,
once you launch
yeah,
ICBM.
Yes. Those are awesome.
I think the moment I was enjoying the game, and I think one of the moments I really fell in love with it was when some of the earlier missions, like Level on Creek, were just so ridiculously unbalanced. I think the game devs even admitted, like, oh yeah, we made this one, like, I think the mission where you had to escort civilians too hard, I think they admitted to fucking that up or something.
God.
And we were just like, and even on like normal difficulty or challenging, whatever the equivalent is, you would land and instantly have like 5 bot drops on you. You're in the fucking forest, the jungle, you're terrified. And I just had a moment I remember where I got separated from everyone. I was just like diving every 5 seconds to try and avoid fire or gunfire, and like it was foggy where I was at, and the way the game looks when like the lights from their guns are coming through and you see like the fire from the Hulk in the distance, and the way like the lights, as the gun, because they're like lasers, they're like Star Wars guns, like it's a laser, like when you see it light up literally around you, it is just such an incredible experience. And it's really, I think a lot of people rightfully in certain ways, not the topic today, but clown on the Star Wars prequels. But like one scene that's really good from Star Wars Attack of the Clones is when the clones first land, or like initially first land on I think it's Geonosis.
Hyalet approved that.
Yeah,
Geonosis,
and they're like it's like very
Geonosis.
very dusty, and they're fighting the drones, and you just see the lasers going back and forth and lighting up the battlefield through the dust, and it very much reminded me of that in this game as well.
The best Star Wars movie.
The best.
One of the best scenes.
Yeah.
I'll agree with Matt.
Yeah.
We
Yoda,
don't
Count Dooku? It's a good scene.
We don't talk about enough how Anakin just killed the younglings. Like that is insane.
We do talk about
insane.
that.
They deserve
he killed
it.
the women and children
The
too.
women and the children.
It's not a great,
That was a
it's not a
sand
great
people,
look.
but okay.
That was a sand people.
Wait.
Yeah.
What's the literal
Well,
line?
he kills the sand people, and then he's like,
Not just the
that's
men.
when in the second movie when he kills the sand people.
Yeah.
he's
Not
like,
just the men. Yeah,
the women
And the children,
the children too.
that's a super meme too. Like I always get
Yeah.
really excited when that comes back in.
And then in the third movie, when the Order 66 is happening, he goes to like the Jedi library, and then the little youngling is like, "Master Anakin, whatever are we going to do?" And then he just lights his lightsaber and it just cuts. You're like, Jesus Christ!
literally cut.
Yeah. Just completely cut. Yeah, murks them. We're talking about Helldivers too.
Yeah. What are we?
Honestly,
how did we get here?
I think we could draw some parallels to Super Earth and Coruscant. I'm just saying, but that's a topic for another day.
Actually, can I continue the Star
beautiful.
Wars vibe and connect it to Helldivers?
Please.
So
Yeah, please go.
going with art direction too, Lucas and Matt, I think you touched on this a tiny bit. I love how each planet feels distinct. And I did not predict or assume that, because when you look on this map, you're seeing dozens of planets like already kind of lit up in the orange sectors that are going to be playable at some point, and there's probably over 100 planets, and every single planet I visited feels very distinct from each other. And I think that was just done so well, where one planet you do get a lot more of the spore dust particles impairing your vision, but on a completely different one you're seeing like tons of gray and silver, and it's like ion and lightning like streaking across the sky. And tying art direction to game design, the art feeds into like the environments that are going on and makes you have to just consider maybe your loadout or how you're going to play a level differently. Like if you know you're going to be on a planet with like an ion surge, then you might want to or an ion storm, then you know for sure you need to have a specific loadout where maybe you don't rely on orbitals as much, because if you're in a tight spot and you can't call an orbital or an eagle, like you're going to get fucked. So I like that the art of the planets and the environments also directly communicate to like how you're playing the game as well. And Star Wars did a really good job of that, because every planet in Star Wars is pretty distinct too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tatooine is very different from
Naboo.
Endor.
Hoth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and,
anybody could have named any planet.
To support Tim's point too, like dropping on a planet like Hellmire, where that's like where the fire tornadoes just got introduced recently in the most recent patch.
I haven't done that yet.
Oh, dude,
You basically, and we were making fun of Matt earlier before we started recording, where his background's like all red. It kind of looks like like a Rada Prime or Hellmire for the red background. But anyway, so you drop down and it's foggy as shit. It's red. You can't see anything like 5 feet in front of you. And then there's like these fire tornadoes like in the background. Like the art design of this game is just, I know they ran on a very outdated engine, but it still looks so damn good. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's one of the best looking games I feel like I've played in a minute.
Yeah.
Honestly, just like
Real talk.
really, I honestly don't understand that much how game engines work. Like how the fact that this is so old and they were still using it to make this, but it's genuinely incredible.
I saw someone post a bunch of screenshots of the game with the HUD taken out. And yeah, you would not know that it was created with a shit engine, because it's fucking beautiful.
Yep.
Helldivers 2 no HUD.
Yeah, look up some note. I implore you to
I'm gonna do that right now.
Google that, and that'll sell you on the graphics of this game.
Oh dang! Wow.
Yeah, it
Okay.
it is up there with like any AAA game visually.
Yeah. It really. Oh man, this one I'm looking at right here just looks like totally next gen.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff on your HUD like makes you kind of not think about it as much, but it is like really beautiful. Like any planet you go on has its own beautiful landscape.
Dang. Okay. Okay. I want to ask two essential. Is everybody good on art direction? Chambers, did you talk about art direction, or are you just the HUD?
I'm just the HUD guy.
Okay, sick. I want to ask two questions. Then I'm going to ask us all what our favorite moments have been so far. The first question I wanted to ask was, do you guys see this game dying in the near future? If so, how long do you give it? And why or why not? Is this are we in it for the long haul here? Matt, what do you think?
Bro, yeah, absolutely. Like I was mentioning earlier, I think as long as they keep pushing things out for the game correctly, I don't see this dying off very soon. I feel like I think by the nature of the game, I think there have been some really great co-op games that came out recently. Point in case a game like Lethal Company that really took the internet by storm, TikTok especially. But I think the nature of Helldivers 2 with how it really invites lore to be built into it from both the player standpoint to create their own lore and their own, like the TikToks we were talking about earlier, as well as the game. The makers have set them, Arrowhead has set up the game in a way to where they can really build it out as they go, and can really feel out maybe the community, like, oh, they'll like that. Like, any point in case, like the genius, like having us raid a planet to unlock an update was so genius, like I can't think of a time another game has ever done that, and I think as long as they can keep doing stuff like that, I think, and I hope this game is here to stay, even if, like obviously this has been the main game I've been playing probably the past month, really. But I genuinely see this being one we all just keep coming back to, like, even if it dies in, like, at least, like,
totally,
once, twice, a few times a month at the very least, it has a lot of staying power.
Yeah, I agree. My thought on that is the fact that this is not PvP makes the life cycle so long, basically indefinite, because
way less burnout.
Yeah, way less burnout. And I think what always happens is, like, someone tells me Apex is awesome right now, and I'm like, okay, well, I have to relearn what the new I have to learn what the new champion does. I have to relearn all of the new, like, if there's any discovered mechanics, what guns are good, what guns are not good, like who's broken, who's not broken. But so it's hard to dive back into a game like Apex or any, like, kind of newly, like, this generation, like, long-term shooty competitive game. But with Helldivers, it could be, I could just put this game away. I could see myself not playing it for 2-3 months, and then Matt's just like, yo, the new Helldivers update's out. They just got, like, there's a new exosuit. There's, like, you can now ride, like, a freaking plane rocket thing and suicide bomb onto like a
stratagem
automaton thing. And it's like, I'm in. Yes. And it's like, there's I don't see there being a world where like you wouldn't be able to dive back in so easily because of the difficulty scaling and all that stuff.
He said the thing.
What? Dive. I said dive.
Oh, yeah.
Even like you joined this game like later than the rest of us did, and we didn't even really ease you into, like, playing the easy difficulty. Like, you can just throw someone in, like, in a hard ass difficulty, and you're immediately you get how the game works, and it's very simple. You kill shit and blow stuff up, and that's about it.
If I remember, we went straight to Botnom, like, immediately, just to get Lucas indoctrinated.
Yeah, and I was like, why am I running slow? How do I move? And you guys just didn't tell me, but we figured it out. Yeah,
and one thing that I want to mention too for the game's longevity that we haven't touched on yet is the war bond progression, which is essentially like their version of, like, the battle pass system. It's not predatory whatsoever. You have the option of, laying down $10 for the premium version of the war bonds, for whatever's available. But the free, or not, I don't want to say free, the war bonds that come with the purchase of the game have, like, all the best boosters, for your Hell pod. They have most of the, meta weapons in there. So you pay your $40 and you could just basically have, like, hundreds upon thousands of hours playing the game. But, for me personally, I think Tim has done this as well. I don't know if you guys have too.
You guys have bought super credits?
I would like to.
I bought the upgrade to the game, so I unlocked the premium war bond and stratagem
the upgrade
hero
to the game. Like, it's only $40, and it's like, this feels like, a $60 to $70 game. Jank and everything else aside, like, they did such a good job with putting together everything and the replayability that I want to give them money to encourage them to put better stuff into the game, over time. So, I totally see a scenario like, 2 to 3 months from now, I shoot you guys a message like, we diving? Are we done?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Democracy?
So,
yeah. We have now completely rewired our brains that democracy means, like, Helldivers now, and it's an election year. And this is what democracy means to me now.
Dark Brandon's going to be on the battlefield soon.
The new skin.
Hyalet, you have anything on longevity?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off Tim, and then I'll go off into what I've been thinking. The other thing I really appreciate about the developers and the premium war bonds or whatever, you also don't need to buy that currency if you really want it, because you can pick up that currency in game. Like, the more you explore, the more you kind of risk your remaining time to go off and do, like, side objectives and explore random bullshit. you play enough, you'll eventually unlock the premium stuff too. And from what I've also seen, the premium stuff isn't meta dominant. And I think the game's also very aware that there should be no meta here. Some things are going to be better based on situations. And the first patch busted any meta that was starting to form on social media and Reddit and things like that, which I really appreciate. It's really responsive. And I'm going to use that to spring into, I think this game's got a ton of longevity. I look at other PvE games that I think were pretty dominant that I was involved in, Destiny probably being the biggest one. Like, I think Destiny died because it tried to do its own thing and kind of like forced what it wanted to do on the community. Whereas Helldivers taking the opposite approach. The community is going to inform how this game's going to go and how the story progresses and what we're going to do. So as long as the community is involved, the devs are going to be involved almost. Or like that's the dynamic I'm reading just in the short month that we've had with it so far. And I feel like if if the player count starts to drop off or something happens, I think that's going to I feel confident the devs are going to respond positively to that and drop an update or something really fucking cool that's going to encourage us to want to come back. Whereas a game like Destiny was like, here's a fucking lore dump with your expansion or whatever the fuck it was called. Oh, and buy all these seasons to get more lore dumps that no one gives a fuck about at this point. Whereas this game, I think is very, very aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it and constantly is going to respond to that. So I think that is what's going to give it a good amount of longevity. I'm predicting this is going to go until next gen. Personally, like it'll fluctuate up and down, obviously, because new games, other things are going to come out. But I think until we get PS6 to the PS6 and we get Helldivers 3, like I'll be coming back to this game at various points.
Helldivers 3 is going to be so good.
Yeah, dude.
Whatever that is.
I don't even know what the fuck's in it, but I'm in it to win
it. Full faith. I mean, what you're describing, Hyalet, is like the biggest thing that every developer needs to be doing these days is just like good communication and feedback from your player base is everything. That's like what gamers care about the most. And like the first thing that anybody asks about when they're trying a new game is how's the community? What's the community like? What are the other players doing? Like what is like when I get this game in my algorithm on Instagram or TikTok, am I going to be laughing? Is the community cool? Are there like quote unquote influencers for this game that are going to entertain me? Is there memes? Like this game has all of that going for it. So the longevity is there. And even like you said, Tim, and it's the same thing for me. Half my TikTok feed is just Helldivers clips, and it's partly what got me to buy the game. I think it's what got a lot of us to want to be interested in the game too. Because I remember like even our buddy Eddie, he was like, "Oh, this Helldivers game looks pretty sick," and he was just seeing clips that people were making, and like the community was really driving like getting more people on board, and it's really amazing. It's really amazing.
I wanted to say I'm actually concerned about the dev involvement because the last like balance patch or whatever, like when they nerfed the railgun and the whole meta loadout they had, which is good.
Rest in peace.
It was really boring that everybody at the highest level was running the same exact loadout.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was just me, but everywhere I was seeing on the internet, like especially on the Helldivers Reddit, people were really upset with how they nerf things, and that there's a lot of stratagems that really needed to be buffed and were not touched at all. Like and that basically they made the game a lot harder for no reason, and a lot of people were mad about that. And I just hope that each successive balance patch people are generally happy with, because I look at it like a game like Apex where balance patches can make people just be like, I'm not playing this game until this gun is decent again or something. And
I think that affects a game like Apex more than it will this, though, because that's a PvP game, whereas this is PvE.
Okay.
I think it'll...
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Arrowhead's had a game like this before at like the popularity level, so it's probably a bit of a learning curve for them to really find the balance of, not making anything too underpowered and too overpowered. And I mean, I think they've done that so far. I think the people that were upset with how the game changed were just some fucking...
I don't think it's a big deal. Like I'm personally happy with the game, but I just noticed at least on their subreddit, a lot of backlash when that patch first dropped.
My only criticism of the game is probably that like maybe a quarter of the stratagems are kind of in a weird spot and not really usable in any against any real situation. And the friends list crossplay stuff is a little janky. Like I couldn't play with one of my buddies. Like we literally could not become friends. I can't become friends with Matt right now.
No, I accepted it.
Oh, well, there's an issue, not just with you, but like there are like a lot of reported issues of like people not being able to accept friend requests. And like, that's where the jank goes a little bit too far.
There's a lot of little bugs like that.
Like the friends list should work no matter what, but I should be able to fall through the level is my point. That's where the jank needs to be.
I think I brought this up with Tim fairly recently when we were talking about the game, but my theory is that of course they didn't anticipate the popularity of this game exploding to what it was, but it seems like on the higher difficulty levels, a lot of the stratagems, to your guys' point, they're underpowered and they can't handle the difficulty. Like if you're playing on Helldive or Impossible or Suicide, like you just literally don't have enough firepower. And because of that, they're rolling out the exosuit now where, they're a lot more helpful with, terminated missions where you have to, escort and things like that, or, hold a position. And I think there's already been leaks out where they're releasing more powerful weapons. I think there was actually a leak recently as well where there's something even more powerful than the Patriot exosuit, where I can't remember the name of it. I have to look it up. But,
it has like dual auto cannons instead of a missile launcher.
Exactly. So my point is that I think on the lower difficulties, you don't feel like some of the you don't feel the nerfs as hard, but on the higher difficulties you definitely feel it, because before there was a meta, now it's like, okay, I guess I'll use the flamethrower for terminate missions because they roast chargers pretty quick, and then for automaton missions, maybe the railgun is still prevalent, but you have to have like really focused aiming in order to hit like a devastator right in the face in order to one shot it. But I think that over time that issue will fix itself because there'll be a lot better options to use during those higher difficulty missions.
Right. So. And also, hey, hard game is hard.
Yeah.
Like hard you're playing on the hardest difficulty. Yep. It's got to be hard. Like
it's hard.
Helldivers should not be easy. And like I did see some people complaining that like the Helldiver difficulty is too hard, and it's like, bro, it's the hardest difficulty.
10 difficulties.
Like you're diving into hell. What else do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. And like if they really have to, they could actually even create a higher difficulty level if people start figuring out the game too much and it becomes too easy, which is probably going to happen, called Super Helldiver.
Because I think the first difficulty went up to 12, if I'm not mistaken. And we're only at 9, so there's 3 levels.
I got one better. How about Trader difficulty?
Ooh.
Trader, I like that. Yeah. I just think there's a lot of room for them to play. There's like a lot of dials and knobs for the developers to turn. They could like buff or nerf stratagems. They could buff or nerf guns. They could change the way the difficulty system works. They could add in or like nerf certain bugs or robots and stuff. Like they could literally turn any knob, and it's the flexibility of the game. They could really make it work. So any of this like quote unquote balance issues, it's like. It's really weird, or it's not viewed in the same context that we should view like balancing in like PvP oriented games, because we're just going to die anyway. You could always just scale the difficulty down. So anyway, we're running out of time here. So I'm going to hop to our last segment here, which favorite moments. I want us all to talk. What has been your favorite moment, personal stories on the battlefield? Let's talk about it.
I'll start. I already kind of mentioned it, but just that moment on Malevolent Creek where the lights were flying, I was just like, I'm terrified I'm going to die. And I did die. We lost. But it was such I don't know. I haven't been that entranced in a game in a hot minute. And that was really cool. And it truly is like a very epic experience. So that's up there. I think probably at least once every day to 2 days about Lucas getting killed by his own stratagem pod after killing me. That still kills me. It's so funny. And then I think when I first realized I could kill a Bile Titan with my own pod.
Oh, that was cool.
dropping in.
Yeah.
So good.
Hell yeah. I'll go next. Well, obviously there's a ton of stories, but one of the coolest things you can do that I realized in the middle of playing the game was diving and switching to your sidearm. And like reloading is a big part of this game too. So like you're kind of always running out of ammo.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so surrounded by bugs, and I dove and switched to my sidearm at the same time and then shot at the bugs and like managed to survive and then stimmed up and then ran away. And I was like, that was the sickest thing I've ever done in a video game. That was awesome. And like just doing stuff like that. And then diving away from any bomb is badass as hell, especially if you like, there is like this thing in the game where you're kind of, sometimes it's like purposeful, like you have to get out of the way and everything, or like you didn't know there's going to be a bomb dropped. But then sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm going to look cool as hell doing this. And like, there's this intentional, like, I'm going to dive away from this bomb and then like move the camera this way and the bomb is behind me. Like I love doing stuff like that and just like taking a screenshot or like clipping. And it's like, yeah, that's some good shit right there. And then of course, when I killed myself, like Matt said, other favorite moment. Chambers.
Okay.
Calling on
All
you.
right. Favorite moment. Some of the team killing has been fun, but I'd say, and this has happened
As your teammate. Awesome.
This has happened like with multiple different people, but one moment I'm thinking of is like, I think it was the first like day I played with you, and it was me, you, Orion, and I think Matt, and we quickly got to the point where once you run out of lives, you have to wait like 2 minutes for another life to come back so that you can call someone in. And it got to the point where there was only 2 of us left, and then we're completely overrun. Like where our ship was landing was right on top of a nest, so it was just endless churn of enemies, and I wasn't even shooting anymore. I was just trying to like juke out chargers for the last 3 minutes. And as soon as like we get a life, okay, let me call somebody in, and then I immediately die, and we end up only evacuating with one person. And the like really epic like last second survivals has been my favorite part by far.
Yeah. Amazing. Hyalet. Best moment on the battlefield.
I got 2 quick ones. One of our squad mates reinforced both me and Tim when we were dead, and we both landed on the same turret on like a giant automaton base and wiped it out, and that was sick.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, that's
And then
badass.
second one is one of my favorite moments was when I was dead and just spectating, and it was just the typical situation. One Helldiver is alive, you don't have reinforcements, your super destroyer's out of orbit, so you can't call anything. And shout out Ray, who's a regular in me and Tim's play group. He survived like a whole 2 minutes by himself, like diving away from automatons, running around like the extraction as much as he can. He had all of ours. It's on it's on like our Discord for our squad. And like this dude like dodged every possible death imaginable and still extracted with everything.
And you guys were just screaming for like 2 minutes.
We were hyped. We were like, holy shit. Like we were screaming at like the tank coming around the corner, the whole like we were giving them intel to like random shit.
Yeah.
So just screaming into the mic and rooting for somebody to make it, even when you're dead, I thought like was a cool thing that is fairly unique to this game. Like even while dead, you're still super into it. Or you can be.
Hell yeah. Orion, take us home. Take us home, baby.
Damn, Timron, you took mine because recording I still watch like
we told 2 stories. Like we stole Orion's story because like 3 of these involved you. Yeah. So now you have nothing.
Shout out again to Ray. Like there's like 2 meat saws where like he dives backward and they're like literally chopping down where he would have been like half a second later. It was like insane. But anyway, I'll make mine quick just because. But playing Malevelon Crake on Helldiver difficulty for the first time, I will never forget that. We obviously did not extract. We ran out of reinforcements. We got fucking destroyed. But just like the sheer spectacle of it and constantly just like freaking out and laughing at the same time, like I'll never forget that. It was really fun.
Hell yeah.
That was awesome.
For Super Earth.
For Super Earth.
For Super Earth.
Hell yeah. All right, Matt, if people wanted to, I don't know, watch us stream Helldivers, or maybe people wanted to message us in some kind of messaging app like Discord or something like that, where could people do that?
Everyone, you can find us at several places actually. You can find the link to our Discord as well as a lot of our stuff at any of our social media handles, and that'll be at TFP Podcast. That is at TFP Podcasts with an S at the end. If you go to our website, thanksforplaying.live, you'll find our written content, links to our YouTubes, as well as link to the Discord. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Thanks for Playing Pod. What is that, the Twitch, or is it TFP Podcasts?
TF. Oh shit! Thanks for playing Pod.
Thanks for Playing Pod is a Twitch. Yeah. Come hang out. Lucas streaming RuneScape or streaming Helldivers, a whole bunch of stuff. It's a good time. And yeah, big thing. Join the Discord. That's where we all hanging out, talking, vibing. It's great. And don't forget to shoot us an email, thanksforplayingpod@gmail.com. I will personally send you back a selfie with an invite link to the Discord.
For Super Earth.
For Super Earth.
For managed democracy.
Fuck yeah, fascism, baby.
Democracy. Woo! This has been Thanks for Playing. Catch you next time. My leg!